Hi, I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10, and the first three stories we're explaining this Tuesday are all related to money. The first involves a plan by U.S. President Donald Trump to improve America's infrastructure. It's roads, tunnels, railways, water, power, and even broadband internet projects. It calls for $1.5 trillion to be spent on infrastructure, but most of that wouldn't come from the federal government. It would supply $200 billion, and states, local governments, and private investors would provide the rest of the investment. In recent years, states themselves have started paying more for infrastructure projects. The White House says it wants to accelerate that. It also wants to dramatically speed up the process of getting projects approved and the building permits issued for them. That can take anywhere from 5 to 10 years. The Trump administration wants it done in 2 years or less. It says it'll take both executive actions and work by Congress to make that possible. The president says inefficient investments by lawmakers have allowed American infrastructure to deteriorate, causing the U.S. to fall further behind other countries, and that it's time to give Americans the working, modern infrastructure they deserve. But critics say the Trump administration isn't footing enough of the bill. Democrats in the House of Representatives announced their own infrastructure plan last week. It calls for the federal government to spend $1 trillion on infrastructure, 5 times the amount proposed by the president. And environmental groups say that speeding up infrastructure projects could also mean bypassing rules and reviews meant to protect land and people. The Trump administration's 53-page proposal is part of its overall plan for the U.S. budget. Yesterday, one significant and closely watched indicator of the U.S. stock market jumped up. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, an index of 30 important stocks, ended the day 410 points higher than it started out. Over the last 2 days of trading, the market has recovered about a third of the value it had lost since it took some nosedives starting late last month. Analysts don't know yet if the drama is over. There may be more drops ahead, but most experts do think this is a correction, a decline that's only temporary.
Fixing an error or inaccuracy. That's how the dictionary defines a correction. On Wall Street, it means something a little different. A stock market correction is a technical term that signifies a 10% decline from a recent high. It's less severe than a bear market. That's when stocks decline 20%. Now, a correction might sound scary, but in fact, it's a normal, healthy part of the cycle. The S&P 500 had 4 corrections from 2010 through 2017 and 5 from 1990 to 2000. That's because markets aren't supposed to go straight up. A breather once in a while is important, like a market reset. It can keep stocks from overheating and allow investors to reevaluate their portfolios. What you definitely shouldn't do is panic. A correction doesn't mean you should sell all of your stocks. On the contrary, it can be an opportunity to buy. Remember, history shows stocks often go up after a correction.
It's about to get more expensive to visit Disney theme parks in the U.S. The company announced this week that for its busiest days, a single-day ticket to Disneyland in California will cost adults $135. That's an increase of $11. And it'll cost $129 for adults to get through the gates of Disney World in Florida. So factor in parking, and a family of 4 would need more than $520 for a day at Disney World, and that doesn't include hotel or food. During its less crowded times of the year, Disney's prices are lower, but those are going up too. So are annual passes. The company says it will continue to evolve its pricing in a way that gives visitors a range of options to meet their budget and helps better spread attendance throughout the year. 10-second trivia. The painting technique of brushing pigments onto dry plaster is known as what? Chiaroscuro, fresco secco, plein air, or sfumato? Fresco secco, or dry fresco, is a centuries-old technique that was used extensively in painting murals. Meantime, the spray paint can, which led to entirely new art techniques, wasn't invented until 1949. But since then, it's found uses in everything from model cars to real cars, airbrushed t-shirts to airbrushed makeup, and famously, graffiti or street art. Even that's come a long way from illegal vandalism to public murals paid for by local governments.
It is like a form of therapy, you know, it's what I do. It's what I do to make me feel part of this big spinning ball.
Street art has come a long way from its humble and rebellious beginnings. It's become popular the world over. From Instagram to the most prominent of art galleries, it's celebrated today in circles that once looked down their noses at it.
There's something uplifting about seeing public art and seeing murals going up around. It changes the face of a city sometimes.
This is Nomad Clan, a British street art duo who've made a big name for themselves globally. They've painted giant murals in cities all over the world, commissioned by governments, galleries, NGOs, companies and brands. They've been invited to exhibit everywhere from the gilded halls of London's St Paul's Cathedral to the jungle refugee camp in Calais, France. Social, environmental and humanitarian issues are often a focus.
Street art has always been about putting a message out there and questioning things and getting people thinking and talking. And just because we paint like giant public art murals doesn't mean that we want to remove those elements from our work.
Their works are set apart by a strong focus on local history and culture.
We like to have our murals connect with the place that we're painting them in.
It does help sway city councils and authorities because they're often quite proud of it or wanting to use that as an angle for tourism.
Works like this require detailed planning, as a mistake on this scale isn't easy to fix.
It's the most intense part of it is getting the sketch down and getting the sketch on it right, because that's your framework then, that you build from.
In 2017, the pair created the UK's tallest mural. It was part of a project called A City Less Grey, aiming to inject colour into the urban streets of Leeds. 7 months planning, 1 month in creation, and over 300 spray cans later, Athena Rising stands at 150 feet tall and 36 feet wide. That's around the same height as the Statue of Liberty.
I think one of the things we do is mash up the storytelling element with some of the heritage stuff, maybe social issues that we're touching on, but we're presenting it in a way that everyone can enjoy on a visual level. Every time we paint a mural, one of our ideals is making sure that the local community have a sense of ownership over it.
Well, they're the ones that are going to see it every day when we go.
We don't have to look at it every day.
There's a debate about what the world's greatest dog show is. Crufts claims to have that title. It's an annual event in Birmingham, United Kingdom. So does the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, an annual event in New York City, USA. One thing that's not debatable is that the American event is older, having held its first show in 1877. It was named for an old hotel in Manhattan.
Every February, the dogs descend upon Manhattan, and it's for the 142nd annual Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. We have over 3,200 dogs coming this year.
This is the Meet the Breeds.
His name is Teddy. This is Papa Chew Davos.
It's just a fun time, just to get out and teach people about the breed.
And we really like learning about different breeds of dogs.
We have a boxer kissing booth, because why not? There you go.
You have the 5th annual Masters Agility Championship going on.
This is my first time ever been.
Yeah, girlie, go, 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 go.
I've been watching them on TV, and it's just so exciting to see them in person.
This show is the second longest continuously held sporting event in the United States. And the reason it's been able to maintain that is the fact that it's about dogs.
I mean, man's best friend. What can't you not like about him?
I like the names of the champions, not just the ones like Lockenhaus's Rumor Has It or After All Painting the Sky, but the really famous ones like Raphael Nadal-Nation, Russell Welshon, Maria Sheba-Pova, Carmel Lochin Anthony, Eli Dober-Manning, Wisla Williams, and of course, Airedale Rogers. I'm Carl Azus, and that's CNN 10.